Today, I'm going to discuss with you the most toxic poker mindset. I think the thing that plagues most poker players' mindset and results in them making all sorts of blunders and being sad and depressed and unhappy and anxious is that they are entitled. They think they're supposed to win. Entitlement is definitively the enemy of a poker player. Understand that life and poker are not fair. I've heard many people say over and over, this is not fair. How can I lose? I should have won. Variance exists. Get used to it. You do not deserve to win just because you've studied some. You are not owed anything in any aspect of life. No, it's a harsh truth, but life is not fair. Many poker players think that lots of stuff should happen at the table. They think when they get it all in with pocket aces against the Jack 4 offsuit that they should win every single time. When they do not win with the aces against the Jack 4 offsuit, they are shocked, they're mad, they can't believe it. Why? Because they're entitled. They think aces should always win. But in reality, aces is going to win against the Jack 4 offsuit 87.5% of the time. Which means aces will lose 12.5% of the time. Not that often, but it will happen. Expect it to happen 12.5% of the time. Now, some people think 12.5% is the same as zero. It turns out, us mere humans think that if something happens less than 30% of the time or so, it should never happen. But that's not true. The sooner you wrap your head around the idea that, well, in this scenario, 12.5% is a real number, it's 12.5%, 1 out of 8, you're going to realize that it's going to happen sometimes. Sometimes it's going to happen 3 or 4 times in a row. I get comments in the comment section down there. Go down there, check it out. People are posting bad beat stories right now. They say, I lost with aces 4 times in a row. How could this happen? Math. It exists. Recognize it. Entitlement is the enemy. A lot of poker players think that they should be winning the tournament a decent amount of the time. People who have pretty good results in tournaments come to me trying to improve, saying that, man, I keep taking 5th and 6th place. I'm not winning very often. But you have to realize, say you're playing 1,000-person tournaments. Well, you're going to make the final 10, 1 in 100 times? If you're at break even, or average, maybe you make it 1 in 70 times if you're good. Realize you're not going to make that many final tables to begin with. And then sometimes you're just not going to run well and you're going to take a whole lot of 6th and 7th places. Just recently, I was in Las Vegas. I had 2 cashes. I took 7th and 8th. Both times I got it in with about 70% equity for a pretty good amount of chips. And I lost. Was I mad and sad and depressed thinking that I should have won? No. I realize 30% exists. And to be fair, I probably had to win some hands to get there, right? So realize that it's going to happen. You're not going to win all the time. And especially in a high variance game like poker tournaments, you're not going to win very often, right? If you play even 100-person tournaments, maybe you win 1 in 70 if you're good. If you only play 20 tournaments a year, it's going to take you 3.5 years to get a win on average. Sometimes you'll win more. Sometimes, though, you'll win less. You'll go 15 years without a win. It happens. Get used to it. Understand the game that you signed up for. A lot of people think that if they get to the final table with half the chips in play, that they are destined to win. How could they possibly lose? But in reality, they're going to only win 50, 60, 65% of the time, depending on the other chip stacks in the scenario. Certainly not 100, right? I think that if you make a point to understand variance, that this will really help with this entitlement mindset. And I don't mean just understand it. I mean accept it, embrace it, fully recognize what is possible. I was very fortunate a long time ago to be told by a poster on a forum named Irie Guy that you will at some point in your poker career run far worse than you ever thought possible. You will. I'm telling you right now, you will. I have. You will. Everybody will. You may think you know what a bad run is, but you probably don't. I've had some pretty bad runs. I've had some pretty good runs. Variance exists, and you will experience a lot of it in poker, both up and down. And if you know that something, a good run or bad run, will happen sometimes. Why would you let that bother you when it happens? And to be fair, say you go on a big upswing, why would you let that make you overly excited? So many poker players go from playing tiny stakes to all of a sudden playing middle stakes, then all of a sudden playing high stakes within like a year. They just win 6 tournaments in a row. Sometimes it happens. They think they become the best poker player ever and they're crushing the games. And to be fair, they probably are winning. But these players very rarely make it long term because they think they're far better than they are. They get overconfident, right? And to be fair, other players should go on big downswings. If they're not properly bankrolled, it's not going to work out for them and they're going to lose and they're going to be sad and depressed because they did not fully recognize what a bad run actually looks like. Once you understand that you will sometimes go on big downswings, you'll be one step closer to being immune to the bad, negative, toxic feelings that entitlement causes. I definitely recommend you check out a variance poker calculator. You can just Google poker variance calculator. It'll come right up and look at the results of various simulations. If you play, let's say, 1,000 tournaments with a small edge, how often will you actually be up over the course of 1,000 games? It's not every time. I also recommend you look at the graphs of top winning online poker players. Just Google top online poker player graphs. Something will come up. Look at the swings they experience, both in cash games and tournaments. You're going to find that even the best players go on big downswings. It is normal. It happens. Get used to it. Assuming you are a winning poker player, I think keeping a proper bankroll will go a long way to helping you get through these downswings because you will go on big downswings. You have to stop caring about things that will happen and that do not especially matter. Sometimes you're going to lose. So if you do lose, why would you actually let that bother you? Take a second, think about it. Imagine you're going to go play a poker tournament series. You're excited about it. Oh, step 1, you've already screwed up. Don't get excited about it. All the tournaments are essentially the same. At least they should be, because we're playing a card game, right? They're all effectively the same card game. Maybe you're playing for bigger stakes than normal, but if that's the case, well, maybe you're playing out of your bankroll. If you're playing out of your bankroll, you will be emotionally attached to the result. And if you're emotionally attached to the result, you may make mistakes. It turns out when people don't think clearly because they're excited or sad or depressed or emotional or whatever, they can't think clearly. And if you can't think clearly, you are very much more prone to make mistakes compared to when you are thinking very clearly. So make sure you're playing properly bankrolled, right? And then if you are, then why would you care about losses? For example, in tournaments, you may need 200 buy-ins to play a particular tournament. If you have the requisite 200 buy-ins and you play a tournament and you lose, now you have 199. Why would you be sad about going from 200 to 199? That would be ridiculous. The problem a lot of people have is that they want to get rich quick from poker. They see people turn $10 into 2.5 million and they think they can do it too. Realize that poker is an amazing way to get rich slowly. It's a horrible way to get rich quick. Sure, it happens every once in a while. Very rarely do those people stay in the money who do get rich quick. But if you consistently grind up your bankroll and you play well within your bankroll and you have good discipline, you will make it. Definitely check out pokercoaching.com/bankroll if you are not aware of bankroll requirements. I want to make sure that you always play properly bankroll because in order to win at poker, you really only have to do 3 things. Easier said than done, I know. But if you do these 3 things, you will win. Number 1, find a game you can beat. What does that imply? That implies you have an edge over your opponents, either because you're really good at poker, you've worked hard, you've studied a ton, or your opponents are so bad that you don't even have to know what you're doing in order to beat them because they're absolutely horrible. The way to ensure you have an edge in your game is to study a lot and get really, really good at the game. That is why I made pokercoaching.com to help you get better than all of your opponents. Good. It takes effort, it takes time, it takes work, but that will ensure you can find a game you can beat. Step number 2, play the game a lot because, like I said, you will go on downswings. And if you only play, let's say, 20 tournaments a year, and you know you're only going to win, what did we say earlier, 1 in 70, you could go for a very long time without a big score, right? So you have to play a lot. You really, really do if you want to get through a decent amount of volume in terms of time, at least, right? So I recommend you play as much as you reasonably can if you are trying to extract your edge. which is what a lot of professional poker players are trying to do. They want to even out the variance and just collect their win rates. If you can collect your win rate, you'll get a lot of money, you'll be in good shape. But that does require you play the game a lot. And the third thing you have to do, this is something a lot of people forget, is you have to keep a proper bankroll. Again, pokercoaching.com/bankroll has bankroll management requirements for all sorts of games. And if you consistently do these three things, you will thrive at poker. The problem is that most people don't want to do all three. Most people don't want to do any of them. They want to play in games they can't beat. They want to play in games where they're playing for high stakes against good players, where they can feel a thrill, where they can win a ton of money. Well, you already failed step number one. They don't want to play a lot. They want to play 1 day a week for 4 hours or once a month for 2 days. They're not playing a lot. And on top of that, they want to play for high stakes. They're not keeping a proper bankroll. And that results in these players consistently losing. And I don't want you to be a consistent loser. I want you to be a consistent winner. Seriously, these are the three things you have to do. Find a game you can beat, play it a lot, and keep a proper bankroll. If you do that, you'll know you're playing in good spots, you're extracting your edge, and that will hopefully make it much easier for you to stop worrying about all the nonsense that can inevitably happen, and it will allow you to focus on what matters, which is getting good at poker and playing poker to the best of your ability. And if you do that, you will thrive. So yeah, get rid of this entitled mindset that you deserve to win, because it's, at the end of the day, you get the results you deserve in the long run. And it takes a lot of effort and time and discipline to get to the long run. But if you get there, you'll get your results. And if you are a good poker player, well, you'll win. That's me for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, do me a quick favor. Click the like and subscribe button down below. This video will get the results it deserves. Wouldn't it be funny if this is the most liked video? You know, that's not actually up to you. If you go down there and click the like button, subscribe button right now, you do it. You do it. That'd be good for me. I think this will end up being the most liked video because, well, I think we all have a bit of entitlement in us. I think everyone does. Most people who play poker don't think, all right, I'm going to go play and I'm going to go lose and I'm going to work really hard and I'm going to study and I'm still going to lose. But, you know, that is how it goes sometimes. And as soon as you accept that you will run hot sometimes and you will run poorly sometimes, you can focus on what matters. Good luck. Have fun. Make the most of your opportunities. And I'll talk to you next time.